Good afternoon. Will the Committee on Energy, Environment, and Sustainability please come to order? I'd like to welcome Vice Chair Dos Santos Tam to the chamber, as well as Councilmember Cordero. Councilmembers Toba and Tupola are excused. Pursuant to Council Rule 8D, Councilmember Cordero is designated as a temporary voting member for today's meeting. Pursuant to Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda in two ways, remotely and in person in the council chamber. Remote and in-person oral testimony will be allowed when the agenda item is taken up. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution and Section 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time, as may be necessary, will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony if they so wish. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or phone will be called upon first. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. I will then give persons who have not registered an opportunity to offer testimony. Please utilize the raise hand feature in Zoom to be called upon. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press star 9 to indicate your desire to speak. I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. When your phone number is called, please press star 6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Some friendly reminders and tips: video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you're also watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time you are called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. Once all of the remote testifiers have testified, I'll then proceed to in-person testimony in the council chamber. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to speak for the oral testimonies of the registered speakers. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes at remote meetings to be conducted by roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will call for objections, and if there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. For those council members participating from outside the council chamber, which I don't believe we have any today, in accordance with HRS Section 92-3.7, the meeting will automatically recess if we lose audiovisual contact with anyone that joins and cannot reconvene until we reestablish contact. Therefore, please announce beforehand if you'll be voluntarily signing out of the meeting. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones. And members, that brings us to agenda item number 1, informational briefing presentation by GENSHU Price from Bottles for College on Recycling in Schools Initiative. Joining us in the council chamber is GENSHU Price, the founder of Bottles for College, who will be providing a brief presentation, which for your information is available online as Miscellaneous Communication 432-2025. GENSHU, if you wanted to go ahead and come up to the microphone, and I'll turn it over to you if you want to do an intro or just dive into the presentation. But mahalo for being here today.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you, City and County, or the Council of the City and County, for taking this time to listen and hear my presentation today. My name is GENSHU Price. I am 17 years old, growing up here on the island of Oahu. I am a recent Martin B. Thompson Academy graduate of 2025 and will be an incoming freshman to the University of Hawaii at Manoa. On top of being a young student, I am the founder of Bottles for College. We are a multi-award-winning 501c3 nonprofit organization that collects recyclable cans and bottles to not only help protect the environment, but to also create college scholarships for local students here on the islands of Hawaii. Today, I present to you something we call Recycling in Schools Initiative. Bottles for College recently launched something that we call the Bottles for College for Schools program, where we work directly with schools across Hawaii to help them bring recycling to their campus while also unlocking a scholarship for one of their students. Following the pilot year of this program in the 2025 school year, we realized that there was so much more work to be done. and are now turning to you, the council, to help us do so. So as I said, Bottles for College, we're a nonprofit here in Hawaii. It has been a nonprofit for 4 years now, but this has been a project that I've been doing since I was 10 years old. So it's been nearly a decade of hard work for the environment, for the community, and for the next generation of students to take action and provide solutions for our future. So as I said, this initiative is actually already in action. What I'm presenting to you today is not just a theory, but is a true living, breathing program. To restate, the Bottles for College for Schools program is an example of what we're trying to work with, where we work directly with schools to bring environmental education within classrooms, while also helping them take action for sustainability within Hawaii by bringing recycling to campuses. As you can see here on the screen are some of the instances of how Bottles for College has been able to support students, both in their college journeys as well as within high school. So this initiative focuses on, one, the need for environmental education. As the world, and especially the community of Hawaii, focuses and grows our standard for sustainability here on the islands and across the globe, it is important that we equip our students and the next generation of leaders to have the right mentality, the right education, and the right resources in being able to know how to take action for sustainability and for the environment. It also teaches students how to take action. One of the biggest things about my generation is how to not just understand instant gratification, but also delayed gratification, and being able to put in the hard work to take an idea and put it into reality. And finally, also, it's all about cleaning up our communities and supporting our local organizations. Hawaii is built on the idea of being together and being a community. So this initiative focuses on helping bring accessible and convenient ways to be sustainable via recycling for community members by being able to support their local schools, while also helping them be more green and have more of an everyday lifestyle that is catered towards thinking environmentally. And lastly, we hope that we can bridge nonprofits and other organizations who are working hard to these classrooms to help further the enrichment of this environmental education within schools. So why do we need to take action? Well, one, we need to be able to protect our environment. That is the largest thing, especially here in Hawaii where we have issues like landfill issues. According to Kauai County, over 900 million cans and bottles are sold in the state of Hawaii each year. However, I believe in 2023, we had our lowest ever numbers, which was 55% redemption rates at the HI5 recycling centers, meaning that there are not only hundreds of millions of cans and bottles going into our landfills, but there's also tens of millions of dollars that could be provided to our schools as a resource that are being lost and not being able to be brought back to our community. This also brings academic accessibility, especially through Bottles for Colleges for Schools program, where we help them get more accessibility to higher education. In general, this initiative is focused on being able to bring academic environmentalism into schools, helping them learn about sustainability and environmental education within the classrooms, something that is not very present within our curriculum right now. And especially here in Hawaii, where we're so focused on the environment, I believe this is something that we need to truly focus on. However, to do so, we also need to grow the next generation to have that mindset to further this enrichment, be able to create a supportive ecosystem for them to do so, while also bringing together our community to be that movement that helps these students truly be able to take action, be responsible for our waste, and create new opportunities for the future and present. So, sorry, one second. At this time, I'd like to be able to turn your attention to some of the written testimonies that I had printed out for you. There are 3 different letters of recommendation, including one from my former principal at King Intermediate School, Ms. Matsuzaki, a recent Bottles for College Scholarship 2024 awardee, Selena Vixavong, who is a rising sophomore at UH Manoa, as well as Jessica Lau, who is a recent graduate of UH Manoa and who currently works at the Department of Education. As you read their letters, you'll see that they point out not only the hard focus on being able to bring environmental education into classrooms, but also how Bottles for College and our efforts have already begun to bring action and positive environmental impact to these students and to the campus in general. Now, while the environment is something that is always constantly growing, Bottles for College, you'll also see we have been able to be scalable through our mission of collecting cans and bottles to not only help protect the environment, but also further students' education through college scholarships. As you see in Ms. Matsuzaki's written testimony, she was actually one of our very first board members and was there before Bottles for College was even a nonprofit. And that shows that if we bring an initiative that we're building through the ideas of Bottles for College, this is not only scalable, but also reachable to be able to bring a brighter, greener future. However, I personally also want to say that this does not have to stop within our schools. We have been personally reached out to by city and county parks and other events in the past. However, we cannot do this without your support. To be able to work with schools, parks, events, sustainability projects, and even more, we need the support of the city and county of Honolulu. Because right now, we work with 2 schools here in Hawaii, Kapolei High School and Kailua High School. And in the pilot year of 2025, they recycled a collective 30,000 cans and bottles. However, Bottles for College, we have given them as much resources as we can as a grassroots organization. But it's hard to be able to expand and support other campuses and for other schools to say yes. One, because we have to reach out to every single school and get their principal, faculty and staff, and student body to be on board with this program without any backing from the city and county or our Board of Education. While Bottles for College is Department of Education approved, we also have to get the approval of each individual school. Being able to bring an initiative like this where it requires them to be able to think more environmentally minded will help us not only be able to bring sustainability to schools, but also bring a positive impact to these classrooms. Because despite pushback in the past from schools where they were skeptical about whether or not this was applicable, after 1 short year, we have been able to prove that even with just our support between a teacher, a single classroom, and Bottles for College, we have been able to make tens of thousands of cans and bottles worth of impact. The other reasons why we need your support is because, well, a lot of these places do not currently recycle, which means that it opens up opportunities for individuals to recycle illegally on company time, which we have seen where city and county vehicles were at redemption centers during city hours, depositing cans and bottles, and when we verbally talked to them, it was not going back, it was going straight to their pockets. And also, if we work with this council, we'll be able to bring more regulation to these sort of programs through recycling, while also giving more community accessibility for recycling to become a more everyday part of Hawaii's lives. Now, to further explain why this is actionable and has already begun, Bottles for College in the 4 years of us being a nonprofit has recycled over 2 million cans and bottles. That's over 150,000 pounds of trash that has been diverted from landfills. And we've been able to support not only 16 students be able to go to college, but we've also helped a family and an individual who are affected by the Maui wildfires. And we've granted over $70,000 to date. That number, while it seems like a lot, and it very much is such a microscopic scale in comparison to what is out there when it comes to the amount of cans and bottles that our state has within our landfills, within our environment. And we need to take action to ensure that it stops going there and gets a chance to be recycled and make Hawaii more sustainable. So, thank you again for your time. And I truly hope that we can work together to bring more resources to recycling and collaborate with one another to help bring this Recycling in Schools initiative to light, to help not only this current generation be able to take action, but also help our next generation innovate and grow further. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Mr. Price. Thank you for your presentation. Before I turn it over to the committee, I wanted to ask a couple follow-up questions. One, and I ask this, I know all of our colleagues are probably contemplating different measures they would want to see a part of our HSAC package. And so those are other things that the HSAC Executive Committee will take into consideration if anyone has ideas for other pieces of legislation. But I know we had talked about just removing the size limit on bottles. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, what that does, where it fits into the regulatory framework as it applies to the bottle deposit?
Yes, so I spoke with Councilmember Ware's office, and one thing that we noticed was within our state legislature, there is a verbiage that says any can and bottle beverage or any beverage container up to 68 fluid ounces may be redeemable through the HI5 deposit program. However, because of that verbiage that says 68 fluid ounces, that prohibits other bottles made out of the same material that are, say, gallon sized from being able to be a part of this program, which deters our community members from wanting to recycle many of times throwing it away or just turning it into a Apollo.
Appreciate that. Committee, were there any questions for the presenter? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for letting me join your committee to ask GENSHU some questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. Love the efforts that you've been doing since you were 10, you mentioned, right? I know that my brother has volunteered at one or two of the events with Bottles for College, so I just wanted to note that. I do want to ask a question relating to the program itself, and I know first off, great job making the ask of where you need help, not just to the council, but to everyone who could be hearing and watching online or on Olelo. And my question is, while some schools don't have Bottles for College program right now at their school, of course, they may have some type of program or club that may be focused on recycling, right? And so how do you strike that balance? Because Bottles for College does have that monetary goal to support students going to college as well as other efforts, like you said, the Lahaina wildfires. So how do you strike that balance, or how do you propose striking that balance when making that proposal to, let's say, a teacher or a principal? How would you present that?
So one of the big things that we learned when speaking with schools is that, well, many times they work on recycling. One, they many times lack resources to do so, which includes buying supplies, having the time and the space to be able to deposit the recycling. And many times, it's actually a gray zone for them to recycle because when the school handles the money directly, there becomes a lot of implications. Personally, I can't go further on that because I'm not within the school system. However, I have talked with principals in the past who have said they stopped recycling because they ran into issues once they started handling the money. And this is another reason why we want to present Bottles for College as a partnership for schools, because we are able to securely and accurately track their funding through their recycling and give it back to them in a way that is very clear-cut.
Thank you. And if I may, Chair, thank you. I was wondering when you said the time and the time and space and resources, as for Bottles for College, what type of space is it at your home, or do you have a space or a venue that hosts all the bottles that you then redeem?
So I guess refine time and space, meaning that many times they don't have the right vehicles or the right time within their schedule to be able to deposit the recycling. And schools also do have some limited storage as well, depending on the campus. And that is why we're asking the city and county to help us step in, because while Bottles for College is able to quickly and very efficiently be able to deposit the recycling, as we have a system with a recycling center here in Hawaii, we also need to be able to have the support of the city and county to be able to build different wires and bins for them to collect and sort, things that schools right now don't have the space for because they don't have the money nor the, like I said, bins and such to do so.
Thank you. And as for Bottles for College, as an entity itself, what is that system that you do have? You know, you're at an event and you have your volunteers or yourself collecting all the bottles and cans. So what is the process then?
So the process, it can differentiate. However, specifically for the schools, what we do is we provide them with something called super sacks, which are large, reusable. If you ever see a construction site, they're usually the bags that hold a lot of their construction materials. We teach them how to sort the cans and bottles, and after it's sorted, we check them, tie them up, and bring them to a redemption center, where we get a special tag that helps us differentiate exactly what school they're from. We label that, and then once we get the numbers back from the recycling center, we not only cross-reference that from our previous logs, but also put it into an individual log specifically for each school.
Thank you. And how about for events when Bottles for College is at an event? Do you have a system yourself for your program?
Very similar to how we do the schools, yes. We make sure when, especially your brother, he'll tell you that when we were working, especially with concerts and other large events, we are working, collecting the cans and bottles from the venue, bringing it to the back, either putting it into sorted bins or into bins to be sorted that is separate from our general collections. That way we're able to, as well as we can, differentiate and being able to mark those numbers as what they are from the event.
Thank you. Just one further clarification, Chair. And then you said you work with the redemption centers, right? And so are you doing it immediately, not immediately, the very next day, or do you collect them until you have like a room full and then you go to the redemption center?
So, sorry, can you please rephrase that question?
Yeah, sure. So what is your process after an event or collecting it from a school? Do you go immediately to the redemption center, or is it all like collected and then you're taking account like the different bags and tonnage, and then you go to the redemption center? Like, how are you collecting that data as well?
So, especially with schools where they have their cans and bottles on site, we collect them from them, and we have a general idea of how much there is, and we bring it right to the recycling center usually, or we have them specially marked to make sure they don't get mixed up from our other bags. Because the important reason why we make this differentiation is to not only show that the schools are specifically recycling, but it's also because our program, especially the Bottles for College for Schools program, is different from our regular scholarship funding. Our regular scholarship funding is from the collection of our different businesses, community partners, and events that we work with, and that creates the funding that we give out to across the state of Hawaii. However, for the Bottles for College for Schools program, we make sure to differentiate it because that recycling that they collect goes towards a goal of raising a scholarship specifically for a student from their school, which I want to tie back to this Recycling in Schools initiative. It would also support directly the schools within their respective community, helping bring more pride and passion to each community to help support the next generation.
Thank you. And just one last question. Okay, I promise, last question. Okay, thank you, Chair. Okay, so my last topic or question would be about how the scholarship is selected per student. And you mentioned just now that it could benefit a student within their school or school district. So is there a set of people that helps decide the student based off of the people who apply for a scholarship? How does that part work?
So for the Bottles for College for Schools program, we work directly with schools to help them have as much autonomy as possible because they are the ones working directly with these students 5 days of the week for multiple hours on end. So in our program description, we explain that each school, for example, when Kailua High School won a $1,000 scholarship, we presented it to their teachers, and they, as a school body, chose how they wanted to choose the student. So for Kailua High School, they had brought together a committee of teachers, and they selected a student that they found most fit to receive the scholarship. Kapolei High School did something very similar. However, it is the school's decision because they are the ones working for this recycling, and also knowing the students the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Did you have final thoughts on that, Mr. Price?
Yes, and then I want to also further on how we do our personal recycling, our personal scholarships, which are open statewide. We accept what we call a video essay, where we learn about students not just as an applicant, but as a person. And we get to learn about their story, why they're going to college, what Hawaii means to them, and more. And after review of that, our board of directors directly votes on who to get the scholarship. I do also want to note that as I am 17, I am not yet on the board of Bottles for College, which means I am completely reliant on a non-biased board to help me choose these students, specifically because I realize that many of these students who are applying, I may know, and I wanted to make sure that I had fresh perspectives on all of these applications.
Mahalo for that. Committee, I'll welcome Councilmember Tupola for the record, and then we'll go to testimony and then come back to close out. So. Registered, we'll first proceed with in-person testimony. I believe we have Ms. Angela Young present. I know you're registered, I think, for remote, but present in person. So we'll turn the floor over to you to testify. Mahalo for joining us today.
Aloha, good to see you, GenSHU and the family. So I volunteered with their nonprofit, and it's been very exciting. And congratulations on all your work. So actually, we're going to be working together at the Hawaii Children and Youth, which some of the council members you know about and have been invited to. The co-founders are Senator Suzanne Chun Oakland and Representative Arakaki. So, and Bottles for College is the official partnership for the official state event, which proposes to the Keiki Caucus about public policies relating to education, environment, and then I'm the co-chair for Exhibits and Displays to organize topics for students to learn about. So it's been a really amazing work relationship. So for example, green fee law was presented at this event, and Sustainable Coastlines presented it, and then it actually became law. So I think if there's any really good ideas from that organization, they should really work diligently with some of the council members. And I think learning to work with the companies that are trustworthy is an important step, and especially with the Youth Commission, they had a resolution that I think was overlooked because it was denied. I think last fall season, about getting recyclable bins to be at parks and recreation, so recycling bins. The Youth Commission proposed it, and the council did not approve it. So I think working with a resolution that was already introduced and working with people that are already, starting these topics and initiatives
Mahalo,
is a
Ms.
good
Yap.
idea than trying to just think about everything and
Appreciate that. Appreciate your insight.
Yeah.
And then my recollection is I do believe we did pass the resolution for recycling in parks, but I'll double check.
No, I think it was denied.
Thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate your testimony. See no questions from the committee. And any other?
Okay, can I mention one last thing, Councilmember Wire?
We'll go ahead and wrap up testimony since the buzzer rang
Oh,
already.
you all are super busy. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but we'll connect after.
Oh yeah, let's connect.
Yeah, appreciate you coming down.
Okay.
See no other testifiers. We'll go online. Clerks, I believe we don't have any registered or non-registered testifiers online. Is that correct?
Chair, there are none.
Mahalo. So with that, we'll go ahead and close testimony, go back to discussion. If there's no final questions, Councilmember Dos Santos, Tam.
Thank you. I actually do have a question. I think what you're doing is very admirable and depends on people continuing to use single-use, the 5-cent bottles. In the course of all of your work in this space, do you have any thoughts or recommendations of how we can work to reduce the number of single-use bottles? Obviously, that would impact the amount of 5-cent containers you're collecting, but we here at the council, I think, would really welcome ideas and input. I know Committee Chair Wire has been working on this. Do you have any thoughts on how, as a community, we can reduce our single-use plastic and aluminums?
I would say that this is actually the beginning because, well, yes, we want to get to a spot where we're no longer using single-use plastic. The fact of the matter is we have over 900 million single-use plastics and aluminum, et cetera, being brought to our state each and every year. However, Bottles for College as a single organization has helped businesses increase their environmental impact by as much as 400% since the introduction of our program. We have also helped businesses such as Outrigger Hotels receive green certification from the state of Hawaii through their partnership with Bottles for College. Now again, yes, being able to reduce single-use plastic is the goal. However, we need to be able to take action, and the most direct course of action right now is to recycle, because at the very least, we're able to make sure that we're no longer producing virgin materials, but being able to utilize the materials that we've already made here on this planet. And from there, we can grow and expand on other ideas of single-use bans that we've already put on, but being able to bring more action and not just statements to those resolutions.
Appreciate that. See no other questions on the committee. The question I guess I wanted to just end with and hear more from you was, one, what do you see as the biggest struggle or barrier? And I think they go together. Like you're saying, recycle what we can and need to, and then we're also reducing where we can. But just the biggest barrier to youth in particular, recycling, wanting to live sustainably. And then two, maybe if you could just share a little bit about, your peers and the work that you do, and just do you see this as something that more folks are understanding and wrapping their minds around? I know we're having a conversation today about limitations and wanting to expand your program, but do you see growth and progress in terms of recycling in the community?
Yes, I do. So starting with your first question, the largest thing right now to be able to have more youth inspired to take action and more interest in environmental work is to bring more environmental education to our classrooms. And I've already seen a direct impact where students have been more inclined to learning about the environment and learning about how to take action in sustainability after we introduce Bottles for College to them. Also, giving them more experiences and more resources to do so. Many times these students have passions and drive to be able to take action, but are missing the vital steps to get there and just the right push. And being able to give them unique experiences, to give them ways to be able to learn more, as well as being able to, I guess, get their hands dirty and work hard to learn about what it takes is also something that's very important. And while, yes, we have had some, yes, it has been difficult being able to bring Bottles for College to some of the schools, once again, because they just have been able to see it as realistically possible. We have been told, it hasn't been a complete no, if that makes sense. They said, yes, if we have the possibility, if we have the chance, we'll love to work with you. However, we need more support to do so. And also, it has grown incredibly. As I stated, it started when I was 10. It started as a vision where I was pulling around a wagon collecting cans and bottles, and now we recycle tens of thousands of them at a time at our large-scale recycling drives where we're recycling millions today. So I would certainly say not only is it scalable, it has been on a path of growth, and I see it continue growing for the foreseeable future. And the amount that grows is just dependent on how much we're able to work and connect with the community and bring them more ways to be able to support.
Mahalo for that. Appreciate the presentation and all the work that you do. Thank you for being here today. And committee, see no other questions or discussion. There be no further business. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Mahalo.